Hi, and welcome to Fretwork Central, the place to learn guitar and bass. In this video, we're going to learn about the layout of the notes on the neck of the guitar. So let's get into it. One of the most important abilities that you can develop as a guitar player and a musician is to know every time you put your finger down, F sharp, G flat, exactly what note you are playing. Every string, E, every time, that quick. Now, this might seem like a big task, and maybe it is, but if you approach it systematically and learn some practice routines and exercises and practice them, you can learn this. But by far, the most important thing that you can do in order for you to develop your ability to know where the notes are is to know every time you put your finger down what note you're playing. Don't just learn some riff from the tab, also learn what those notes are. Don't just learn a scale pattern or an arpeggio without knowing what the notes are. You know a little blues lick? What are those notes that you're playing? Find out. What we're going to talk about in this video is the actual layout of the notes themselves, and you're going to see that's pretty easy. But first, we're going to take a look at what the notes look like on a piano keyboard. Here is a diagram of a piano keyboard. Most pianos and full-size keyboards have 88 keys, some white and some black. Smaller keyboards have less keys, but you only have to learn a small section of any keyboard to know how the whole thing is laid out. Right away, you will notice that the white keys are all in a row and the black keys are pushed back on the layout. You can also see that there are groups of 3 black keys and then 2 black keys, then 3 black keys, then 2 black keys, and so on. This will be true on almost every keyboard you will ever see. But why? You will soon see why, but first, let's find just one note. All of the natural notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, can be found on the white keys. In this diagram, we have located the note A. The note A is located in a group of 3 black keys between the 2 black keys furthest to the right. This is true on the entire keyboard. Here we have another note, A. Can you hear how it sounds similar yet different? The interval of a perfect octave, which we commonly refer to as just 1 octave or even just an octave, measures the distance of 12 half steps from one note through all of the other notes to the note of the same name 12 half steps higher or lower. All of these notes are in the same pitch class. They are all the note A. Notes that share the same name are in the same pitch class. If you play left to right on a keyboard instrument, the pitch gets higher. Likewise, if you play right to left, the pitch gets lower. As you play each white key moving left to right or up the keyboard, the note names will go up alphabetically, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. After G, you start over again at A in a different octave. If you can locate just one natural note on the keyboard, you can find any other note. But what about the black keys? The black keys are where you can play the sharps and flats, additional notes that may occur during music composition and improvisation. Remember, in music, the word sharp usually means to play the note a half a step higher. Flat means to play the note a half a step lower. The sharp symbol looks like a number sign or a hashtag, and the flat symbol resembles a lowercase b. Let's find our note A again. If you look closely, you will see that from A to B is just one white key, but there is a black key in between them. So what do we call that note? When you sharp a note, it means to play it a half a step higher. On the piano, that means one key to the right. So this note could be called A sharp. Just a quick reminder. In music, distance is measured by intervals, the smallest interval being the distance of a half a step, which is the distance of just one note, or on a keyboard, just one key, white or black, or on the guitar, as you will soon see, just one fret. If a half a step is just one note or one key or one fret, then a whole step is two notes or two keys or two frets. Keep this in mind as we proceed. Any black key found to the immediate right of a white key shares the same note name, but is pronounced with sharp after it. For example, this is A, and this is A sharp. But this black key can have a different name as well. Any black key found to the immediate left of a white key shares the same note name, but is pronounced with flat after it. This note is B, therefore this note is B flat. Any black key can have two different names, either a sharp or a flat. As you learn more about the structure of music, you will also learn which name to use in any given circumstance. But for now, just be aware that each sharp has an enharmonic equivalent. That is, it can also be identified as a flat note. Enharmonic equivalent is a fancy term that simply means same note, different name. A sharp is the same note as B flat, and vice versa. C sharp is the same note as D flat. D sharp equals E flat, and so on. Also keep in mind that A and A sharp are not the same note. They only share the same letter. Enharmonic equivalents are like a person's first and middle name. Same person, just two different names. But natural notes and the accidentals that share the same letter are like Bob and Bob Jr., two completely different dudes. In this diagram, we can see how all of the notes look in one octave. The white keys yield the natural notes while the black keys handle the sharps and flats. One more thing to notice here. There is a black key in between almost all of the white keys, but not all of them. True, there is a black key between A and B, but not between B and C. So therefore, in common practice, there is no B sharp or C flat. Likewise, there is no black key between E and F either. They are only a half a step apart, so there is no E sharp or F flat. To summarize, you can say that there is a whole step between all of the natural notes, except B and C and E and F, which are half steps. Memorize that sentence. You will see it again very soon. This diagram illustrates the layout of the whole keyboard in every octave. If you learn the layout in just one octave, you can then repeat it in any other octave. Just keep an eye on the groups of black keys for the 3 black keys, 2 black keys, 3 black keys, 2 black keys, and so on. And boom, now you know where all the notes are on any keyboard. Easy, right? Sure it is. But now let's look at the layout on a guitar. Although the natural notes are laid out the same way and the sharps and flats work the same way, the layout of the notes on the neck of the guitar looks nothing like the layout of the notes on a piano. For one thing, there are no white and black keys on the neck of the guitar. There's nothing visual to tell you what any of the notes are. And on each string, all of the natural notes and sharps and flats are in line, one fret after the next. So that's a little confusing. And in addition to being able to play in octaves on a guitar, you can also play in unison. That's playing the same note in the same octave, but in different places. Before we proceed, we want to make sure that you know how to read the diagrams that you're looking at. Guitar fretboard diagrams can be presented in landscape or portrait view. It is important to know how to read them both ways. If you're not sure how to read a diagram, please refer to our lesson video on reading fretboard diagrams. Here we have a diagram of the neck of a guitar up to the 17th fret. The heavy black line all the way to the left represents the nut, and the other vertical lines represent the frets. The horizontal lines represent the strings, and the strings we know are numbered starting with the top string 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. When you're looking at the diagrams, The top line of the diagram is actually string number 1. And the reason for this is when you're looking at the diagrams, it may not seem like it, but you're looking at exactly the same thing that you're looking at when you look down at the guitar. But when you're in the playing position, it's a weird position where we're looking down and kind of into the neck. If you take your guitar and you turn it facing you, that's what you're looking at when you look at these diagrams. The top line is string number 1, and the bottom line is string number 6. It's easy to get this confused, but if you ever aren't sure, just hold up your guitar and look at it that way. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about single notes using diagrams in landscape view. Reading left to right on the diagram is moving up in pitch on each string. So therefore, the direction moving from the headstock area towards the body of the instrument is moving up the neck. Moving from the body of the instrument towards the headstock is moving down the neck. And if we just play a little bit, we can hear the notes getting higher if we move in that direction. And if we move from the body towards the headstock, the pitch is getting lower. So this is up, this is down. Plus, the fret numbers increment higher as you move towards the body of the instrument. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. So the numbers are going up. So up is this way, down is this way. When you're reading these diagrams, left to right is up in pitch, right to left is down. And if you're talking about the natural notes, it's also going to go alphabetically, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. But it depends on what you're going to play in the diagram, which one of those notes is going to be present. There is a whole step between all of the natural notes except B and C and E and F, which are half steps. We learned that a half step is a distance of just one note, or on the piano keyboard, just one key, white or black. On the guitar, a half step interval is just one fret. If you are instructed to move a half a step, that means you're only going to move one fret, up or down. Likewise, if a half a step is just one fret, a whole step would be 2 frets. So if you have to move a whole step, you're going to move 2 frets, up or down. Let's practice this a little bit. No matter where you are in the neck, which fret you're on or which string, the whole steps and half steps always work the same way. You could pick any note, any string, any fret. It doesn't matter. We're going to start right here. It doesn't matter what note that is right now. We're right there. That's fret number 5, string 6. Now we're going to move up a half a step. So we are going to move from fret number 5 to 6. That's it. That's a half a step. Let's try it again. Now we're going to move up a whole step. So we're going to skip this fret and go to here. That is a whole step. So we moved a half a step and then a whole step. And we could keep going like that. Let's try another one. Now we're going to move down a step and a half. So we're going to move down a whole step plus a half step. And we're right back where we started. It is totally necessary to get comfortable with these intervals and how you move around the neck. We use diagrams and instructions like this all over Fretwork Central. So make sure you understand this fully before moving on. The next diagram that we're going to look at here has a circle on it all the way to the left of the 5th string. When a circle appears to the left of the nut, which is this part on the guitar, that means to play that string open. That note is A. Now we can move up the neck and find the other natural notes. Now we know there's a whole step between all of the natural notes except B and C and E and F. So we're on A, so we want to go to B. A whole step higher than any open string is going to be the 2nd fret. We're skipping the 1st fret and going right to the 2nd fret. So that's a whole step. A and B. Now we're on B. C is just a half a step. Then we go a whole step to D, another whole step to E, then a half a step to F, then G, A, and we want to note here, you can see that at the 12th fret, there are 2 dots on most guitars. That's indicating the octave location of that string when you play it open. So open is A, and we just went through all of the natural notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then we're going to start over again at A at the 12th fret. Now we're going to start here and move up A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And on this instrument, because it has 24 frets, we have another A, so that's another octave. A, A, A. And that's how you find the natural notes on one string. Let's try another one. What if we play string number 4 open? Now, one of the things that you definitely should know by now is what these strings are when you play them open. But just as a reminder, if you start at string number 6, what are they? 6 is E, 5 is A, the 4th string is the note D, then we have G at the 3rd string, B at the 2nd string, and another E on the 1st string. So that's what the notes are, the strings when you play them open. Now if we start on the 4th string, that is the note D. D to E is a whole step. So that's the 2nd fret. Then E to F is just a half a step. Then a whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B. B and C is just a half a step. And then a whole step to D. And if we do this right, that note that you get to at the 12th fret should be the same note as that string played open. D and D. And if we continue, D to E is a whole step, E to F is just a half a step. Then F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a whole step, B to C is just a half a step. And then C to D is a whole step. One of the things I want to mention real quick. So we're saying that there's a half step between B and C. And what I see a lot of times is because, for example, B is in the pair, when it gets to A to B, people will think, well, I heard the letter B, so that must be a half a step. A to B is a whole step. B to C is the half step. So there's only 2, B and C and E and F. All the other ones are whole steps. So most of the time, you're going to be moving whole steps, 2 frets, except between those 2 pairs. So just because there's a B in there, or like C to D, just because there's a C doesn't mean it's a half step. If it's C to D, it's a whole step. B to C is a half step. Believe me, you would be surprised at how many people get that confused. All right, so that's how the natural notes work on the neck of the guitar. Pretty easy, huh? Now, what about the sharps and flats? Well, they're going to show up at all of those frets that we're skipping. A to B is a whole step. What is that note we're skipping in between? Remember how the sharps and flats work. Sharp means a half a step higher. On the keyboard, that was 1 key to the right. On the guitar, it's 1 fret higher. If you're a right-handed player, that would actually be to the right. If you're left-handed, though, it would be the opposite, but it just means 1 fret higher. So that could be A sharp. Likewise, it could be B flat. Remember our N harmonic equivalents. A sharp is the same note as B flat. Now what we're going to do to exercise the difference between the two here is as we go ascending on this string, going up in pitch, we're going to call these notes by just sharps. And then when we come back down, we'll reverse it and name them with flats. So if we start on that string open, that's the note A. A to B is a whole step, so in between we can find A sharp. Then we have B and C. So there's not going to be a B sharp because that note is actually C. C to D is a whole step, so that note could be C sharp. Then we have D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and A. That would be all of the notes, or in other words, the chromatic scale on the 5th string from the open string up to the octave at the 12th fret. A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. And you can go anywhere on the neck of the guitar like this and find these notes. If we go descending now, we're going to look at the notes as flats. We're on A. G is a whole step lower. So this note could be A flat. Then we're on G. G to F is a whole step, so that could be G flat. Then we have F. There is no F flat because what note is that? Half steps, E and F. That's E. There is, however, E flat, then D, D flat, C, B, B flat, and A. Now, if we take a look at these diagrams, we have illustrated both sharps and flats moving up the 5th string. We could do this with any string, it doesn't matter. Let's take a look at that 4th string that starts with D. And we could just move up that string, and I'm not going to bore you to death doing this again, because hopefully by now you are getting the idea of how this goes. So if you know what any note is on any string, you should be able to find any other note on that string. So if we know what the notes are when we play them open, we can ascend and descend on that string like that and find those notes. This is something that we do want to practice doing. All right, what we want to do now is learn some stuff that we can play that's going to help us to learn where some of these notes are and also possibly give us some inspiration for licks or melodies or whatever. So we're going to start on the 1st string, and what we want to do is play just natural notes. That's the note E. E to F is just a half a step. And then a whole step to G. So we got 3 notes. 1, 2, 3. Now what we're going to do is we're going to back up one of those notes, play the middle note that we played, and play 3 again. F, G, A. Then we're going to back up again and go to G. G, A, B. A, B, C. B, C, D. C, D, E. And we're just going to keep playing that way all the way up that string. Now the tab only goes so far, but you can go as far as the neck of your guitar goes. So what we're playing, this is a sequence. This is an idea. It's a premise, a pattern that we are going to repeat throughout the scale or whatever it is that we're playing. In this case, we're just looking for the natural notes. So we're just going to play up 3 notes, back up 1 and go up 3, back up 1 and go up 3, back up 1 and go up 3. Once you get to the highest note, then you're going to come back down, do the exact same thing. 3 notes, then back up a note and go down 3, back up 3, back up 3, and you just keep going. You can go to different strings and do the same thing. On the second string, you're playing B, C, D, C, D, E, D, E, F, and you would just want to go through and learn where these notes are. Now, I'm going to include tablature for this that you can download, but you don't really need it. All you need to know is how to find these notes and what you're going to play. You could even come up with your own things. Another thing you could do is trills, and this is something that you might want to do as a warm-up when you're getting ready to play. I do this a lot in different ways, but one way that you could do it is with the natural notes so that you can learn where they are. A trill is when you anchor the low note and just hammer and pull in front of it on a different note. And we're just going to follow the natural notes, C and D, and D and E, E and F, F and G, and we're just going to keep moving this way. You can find these notes, E and F, B and C, those are the half steps. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff that you could get out of this, but the main focus of this is to learn where the notes are on the neck of the guitar. All right, so that's it for this video on the note layout on the neck of the guitar. Practice that, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Keep making great music.